So happy afternoon. I am sitting here doing my next exchange, and guess who happened to call? Well, technically, they did not call. They text message you so that you can put in your next order. Yes, indeed, it was Baxter. So I decided I have put this off. I better do it. I gave them a call. And I think I'm pretty nice about things. Even when I'm having a complaint, I try to come across like I'm not coming at you. I'd like to have communication so that we can find a solution. When I called, I told her that I was definitely a DaVita patient. And I've been on dialysis now for 3 years, so I know the routine. That I felt a little bad because I'm kind of like complaining, but I feel like I have a valid point as to why. And if you don't remember, Baxter called and said that they were going to deliver my supplies on the 1st, which was a Friday. And my delivery showed up on a Thursday. Now, why that's so significant and such a pain is because when we do our dialysis and we start it in the morning, whatever time that we have started it on is what dictates the rest of the day. Well, what happens when that order comes on a completely different day? Insanity. That's what happens. Not to mention the fact, if you remember, I was also moving stuff from one storage locker, helping my kid get out of that one, into a whole nother one. And he had gifted us his couch that was in there. We had hauled the couch up, and there was literally no place for delivery of dialysis on that Thursday, because I believe that Wednesday is when we unloaded. Yes, that Wednesday night we unloaded the entire storage unit and basically got everything moved, got the couch in, and the next day I knew I had that entire day to get things arranged. And if you are on dialysis, which is a blessing, but also like you're so tired a lot, and so just simple tasks sometimes can be overwhelming, and you end up having to nap a lot. And that's what was going on. And then I actually had left to do something. I don't remember what it was, but he texted me, Daniel, my delivery guy, texted me and said, I'll be there in 20 minutes. And I was like, are you kidding me? There's no way. There's no way. And so I had to haul across town, get to the apartment. And then he and I had a really good discussion about it, because I didn't want him to feel like it was his fault for the mistake, because I'm like, this has got to be a scheduling situation. And I explained to him, like, just because there's a couple things. One, just because we're on PD dialysis and we're flexible at home. And again, there's 2 different types of PD dialysis. There's the kind where you do it like I do, where throughout the day I'm doing my exchanges, or you hook up to a machine at night and you do it all night. Actually, the machine does it all night. So in that situation, it doesn't really matter what time your delivery comes, but I explained to him that it does matter for me because if I was hooked up, what do we do? I mean, I can't go answer the door. Is that I have Smokey, and Smokey is very loving to the point that he will become obnoxious trying to love you. And so when Daniel shows up, I always put Smokey out on the patio and shut the sliding glass door, and then he's contained and Daniel can come in and out and not have to worry about making sure that Smokey doesn't get out or whatever the case may be. But if I'm hooked up, I can't leave. I can't get up and wander around and be like, oh yeah, come on in. No, that's not happening. And so when I was explaining that to him, not only that, but the fact that if I start my dialysis exchanges at like 7, which is usual, then it'll be 7, 10, 1, and then like 4 or 5, and so there is flexibility. But if he's coming, let's say at 1 o'clock, then I should have in the morning known this already, right? So I would be like, oh, he's coming tomorrow, so therefore I need to start my exchange at 6, so I can be 6 and 9 and 12 and be completely done by the time he shows up. That's how it works. But when he comes a whole day early, that's not great. So I felt bad, and I told him, I was like, I'll tell them, because I do believe it, that you're a really good employee, and I appreciate the fact I live on the second floor and you have to bring these items up to me is beyond appreciation. So I don't want to be like that nagging, negative, criticizing customer. But at the same time, I'm like, no, it can't work like this. Like, you literally hired somebody to schedule. You literally are paying somebody to be a scheduler. So something's going wrong somewhere. Nonetheless, that was my story. And I decided to give him a call today since I was getting my next order. And the gal on the phone was like, well, he must have been done early and decided to come and drop off your stuff a day early. And I was like, but Baxter called and told me they would be here on Friday. And she's like, well, they're supposed to be there. They were supposed to be there on the 1st. And I said, well, I don't know what the 1st was, but it was Friday that they were supposed to be there. And I wasn't even at home on Thursday when he texted me and said he was coming. And so when she looked in the record, she's like, oh yeah, the 1st was a Friday. And she's like, I don't know why he came, but she says, you are on like a multiple delivery day schedule. And I'm like, okay. That just doesn't make sense when I have to be so scheduley with my dialysis. What happens if he calls or texts me and says, I'm going to be there at 2 o'clock and I'm either connected or I'm not even home? But Baxter told me and called me and had said that he would be there the next day on a Friday, or, whatever the case may be. And she was like, then you tell him you can't get it. And then he has to hang on to it and deliver it on the day that we said he would be there. And I'm like, but he told me that he wasn't making any deliveries on Friday in Tucson at all, and that he was going to Benson on Friday. And she's like, well, he must have just gotten done early and he just brought you your stuff first. Which technically makes sense, right? I mean, if you're a scheduler at all like I am, it's like, okay, I could see how that could happen. But at the same time, the way he presented it, the way that we had this great conversation and the way that everything was going down, I feel like she was defending the mistake on that side. I really don't think, like, Daniel loses nothing by lying to me, or, just his demeanor and everything did not give me an indication that he was like, oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't know. I could come tomorrow if necessary, what ended up happening was he ended up leaving everything by my front door. And I told him I had Ben and, of course, Donnie to be able to take everything inside, because there's literally no place for him to drop off the stuff in the apartment because everything was chaotic. You move one thing and then you have to move, like, you move one thing in and you have to move like 6 things out of the way, right? So it was just chaos. And but his demeanor was not like, oh my bad, I'm so sorry, I didn't realize, or he could have been like, I got done with all my deliveries and I can do yours right now in about 20 minutes if that's okay. I feel like that could have come across, because you have to go through Tucson from Phoenix to get to Benson. So I don't know. I don't know. I don't want to think that he was lying, because I really don't feel like he was. And I feel like the way that this person on the phone was being so condescending in a lot of ways, and her tone, and just like, well, it's him, it's his fault, he's one, I was just like, that's not cool either. I have worked at too much management positions to know, like, when the ball is dropped, just take ownership of it. Just take it. Because it's not even like I'm angry and upset. And I kept telling her, like, I'm not mad at Daniel. I'm not really mad at anybody. I'm just saying that it really affects our lives when things like this happen. And that's the other thing, again, is that it's not even necessarily me, because I can figure it out. But I'm thinking about these, like, if you are, I don't even know, like, older, 70, 75 on dialysis, and you're hooked up to a machine, and now you have to try to get up and go answer the door, try to remedy a problem that really should not even exist because you were told the next day was your delivery, then I feel like I want to be an advocate for everybody across the board. And so it's like, I'm not trying to be a jerk. I'm just saying, like, somewhere something went wrong, and it's just kind of frustrating when the person who has the solution or the answers, or at least the ability to say, I hear what you're saying, I'm so sorry this happened, we will definitely look into it and see where this is happening, because la 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 la, or she was like, well, you are the multi, and then she tried to say, well, was it the FedEx delivery or UPS delivery, or was it the actual delivery of the dialysis? And because what happens, sometimes a warehouse doesn't have the stuff to go into your order basically on your pallet, because we get so much stuff, so many boxes of dextrose, that it really is kind of like on its own pallet. And then you get, I think that's what you call it, that wood thing. And then they like saran wrap it. But they have all of those all organized, and then you get your box full of supplies, which can be like your Alcavis, your gauzes, maybe, your lap pads, things like that, right? But let's say, like, this last time they didn't have my lap pads, and they didn't have my one box or my one bottle of sanitizer, hand sanitizer, and so UPS ended up bringing that. So again, 3 years, and it's like, I know what it means when you say there's a split shipment. And if I want to track that shipment, go to UPS. Well, UPS is not delivering my dextrose. Baxter's delivering my dextrose. So don't pretend that somehow, I got misinformed. No. I pay attention. And so I told her, I was like, no. I said, like 2 days later, the UPS shipment came of the two items. But Baxter told me that my scheduled delivery would be Friday. And she just still would not budge. And I'm like, fine, whatever. I said, I appreciate it. I appreciate you guys bringing it, at least, bringing it to me. And then she was like, well, if there's ever a problem, like, you just tell him. No, Baxter said it was Friday, and that's what it is. And I'm like, why should I have that confrontation with them? I don't know. Drives me nuts. Anyways, that's the drama. That's where I'm at. But again, I am happy at least they bring me my dialysis, and I don't have to deal with that and bringing it all up the second floor. So I'll leave you with that. Drink your water. Have a great day. Talk to you guys later. Bye-bye. Oh, we are all done with that. Just have one more thing to do. Oh my goodness. My arms are tired. I can't even imagine how Donnie might feel. Some of that stuff was heavy, but check out this. Yep. So this is the area in which it goes. Here's where I had to move the boxes earlier. Oh my God.